Hi, welcome to Life Lessons with Sheila. I'm so glad that you're here. I don't know about you, but I love hearing these Am I the Asshole posts read out loud. So I thought I would share some, but from a church perspective. Why? Call me the church lady if you want, but being someone who was a Sunday school teacher for a few years, part of the worship team for many years, and even taught preschool inside of a church for 13 years, I know a lot of the insides of the church body. And let me tell you, it's not always pretty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and from the perspective that one sees things. Looking from the outside in, everything can seem just fine and dandy until you get on the inside and involved with leadership. Now, I know not one congregation is perfect and gets it all right, so I'm not passing judgment onto these situations. I just thought it might be interesting to read a couple Am I the Asshole posts that are related to churchgoers and leaders alike. Today's video, I'm going to share 2 Reddit posts from a leadership point of view. Do not go sending any hate or discord to these posters, as I have withheld all identifying information. Let's hop on to this. The very first one is, am I the asshole for leaving the church even though they can't run a service without me? I, 21 female, recently left the church I grew up in. It was a very hard decision and a long journey for me, but I've worked through some of the fear and guilt that was keeping me there. While I was attending church, I was a very integral part of the service. I was the only person in the church who could play music and sing. Every week, I would work with the pastor to pick worship music based on his sermons that week. And then on Saturday, I would essentially run a one-man worship concert. I did this for about 6 years since I was 15. Another important thing to mention is that I'm gay. I've known since high school, and so have my parents. They're surprisingly supportive considering the conservative church we have been attending for as long as I can remember. I've never been in the closet, but I've also never publicly come out on social media or anything. The one time I brought my girlfriend to church, everyone thought she was just a friend. I was trying to convert. 2 weeks ago was my breaking point. Our pastor's sermon was about how the world is becoming more inclusive. It was a long and frankly awful sermon, but the part that finally got me to leave was when he mentioned how all the kids are gay now, and how our whole generation needed to either repent or burn in hell eternally. Before this happened, I knew that our denomination wasn't exactly welcoming of the LGBTQ plus community, but to hear it so bluntly stated in front of everyone was something else. I couldn't keep living in a blissful ignorance. I decided that after the service, I would no longer take part in a church who didn't like people like me. The next week, when he called me to arrange to meet about the church service for that week, I politely explained that I would no longer be taking part or attending his church anymore. I tried to keep it civil, just telling him that our views and theologies did not align anymore, and for both of our sake, I was leaving. He freaked out, telling me it wasn't fair to him or the rest of the congregation that I would leave so abruptly without making alternate arrangements to replace music. He tried to demand that I come back until he could find someone else, but I declined and then hung up the phone. Since then, I've had countless church members telling me how disappointed they are that the church has been canceled and how I should make things right with God and come back to the church. I've also had the pastor reach back and asking if I would teach guitar to his son if I was really going to leave forever. I have declined. My parents have mentioned that it was rude to leave as abruptly as I did without giving anyone a chance to try and find a replacement. So am I the asshole for leaving the church with nobody to replace me? Essentially making it so that church is canceled until they find a replacement? She did come back and edit and update. I'm going to save that to after I read the comments. Because that's when she posted it, is after these comments were made. The first comment was, "You're not the asshole. This is a religious guilt tripping 101. You're so vital. Without you, nothing can happen. All you've got to do is deny who you are and conform with our views and be subservient to our demands. I hope you can find peace and happiness you need in a community that welcomes you for you. The first response to that comment was, and does it even have to be canceled? Can't they just do worship songs with just a congregation singing? Won't be as pretty, of course, but surely that's not the point. And the other comment to that was, not only is this absolutely religious guilt tripping 101, it's also hypocrisy 102. The pastor wants you, someone who should burn in hell for eternity, to teach his child how to play guitar? You didn't say that you expressly told him that you're gay, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he knows. You owe them nothing and yourself everything. Move on from this and find a church that will welcome you as you are, because not only are you not the asshole, you are a wonderfully unique human being. She did come back and edit and update. She said, first, thank you to everyone who responded to the original post. It has put a ton of things into perspective for me. I was a volunteer for all 6 years that I did music for the church. I didn't even know that some people get paid to do music for church. I was under the assumption that everyone did it to volunteer. When I originally started doing music, it was supposed to be a temporary thing until he could find another person. I was told after a few weeks that it was God's calling for me, that I should stick around. Now I understand that he just didn't want to find someone else, have to pay someone to do it. I also don't get sick very often, so the small handful of times I had been sick in the past few years, the service was just canceled for the week. Excuse me. Now the update from this morning. The pastor's son, yes, the same one who I was supposed to teach guitar, is apparently on Reddit. He ended up seeing my post, recognizing the situation, and showed it to his dad, who in turn came to our house this morning to talk about it. It was a very unexpected start to my day, especially because I hadn't read any of the responses yet and didn't know if I was in the wrong or not. He tried convincing my parents that Satan was working through me, causing me to give into temptation of homosexuality. He wanted me to start doing weekly one-on-one spiritual sessions with him to work through this temporary slip in faith. He also tried to convince me again that by coming back and giving my gift of music back to God, God would in turn help me work through the sins I am committing. My parents ended up asking him to leave, and him coming to my house to talk about my sexuality was kind of solidified my choice in staying away. My phone has also not stopped blowing up with the congregation members trying to get me to go back. It's exhausting to constantly see messages to the point that I am considering changing my phone number. At this point, I want to smash my guitar on the ground and never touch it again. Part of me still feels guilty about everything, but I think that comes with the fact that I dedicated so many years of my life to the church, especially because I did it so young. I don't know where I stand religion-wise right now. I have a lot more things to work through before I can even start to think about that again. I saw a few people suggest that I go to therapy so I could talk to someone, and I'm starting to look for one. I also might switch from online university classes to do person at the campus I take them through so I can get out of town for a bit as I am working through everything. Thanks again to everyone who responded to the original post. This has been an incredibly weird situation for me, and I genuinely don't know what I'd be doing right now if I didn't have so many people laying out everything to me straight so I could understand I'm not in the wrong. I think I might have just folded under pressure and gone back. And now it's time for Sheila's opinion. Not that you want it, but my first thought is any church that goes to the length of going to any adult's parents is automatically a red flag to me. And my second thought was, we're not the judge and jury. We do not have the right to hold our personal beliefs over the heads of other people and convict them according to our own personal convictions. No one has the right to treat any of God's people with cruelty. We need to be more like Jesus and accept the person, make them feel loved, and teach in love, not hatred. I said what I said and I meant it. The church is responsible for more people turning away from God than bringing them to Him. I said what I said again. That kind of bothered me, reading that the congregation was so involved in this girl's life. Like, how did they know? Did the pastor go and talk to all these people? Was he a gossip? which is going to take us into our next story. So many questions in my mind for that poor girl. The second one is, am I the asshole because I can't really get involved in my church member's life? I'm the pastor of a church. I have been preaching for about a year now. The people are great, but here is where my problem comes in. There is a member of our church. This girl is 21. What is it with 21-year-old girls that these people have issues with? And she has been dating a man way too old for her. He's 31. They have been dating for 6 months. I found this out from another member. She saw him and her boyfriend at a restaurant and came to tell me. I told her I would handle it, and I went to talk to the girl. I told her it had come to my attention that she's dating a man too old for her. I didn't tell her who told me this, but I wanted to talk. She told me everything was fine, and she told me she would want me to mind my business. I went to talk to her parents, and they didn't like the age difference either, but the problem is that she lives in her own apartment. Despite the fact that they don't like the age difference, they still want to be there for her daughter, just in case the relationship goes south. I told them I understood, and I left. The member who saw her at a restaurant asked me if I dealt with the situation, and I told her I tried, but at this point there's nothing I can do. She told me she was disappointed in me, and she said I was letting down God for allowing her to engage in a sinful lifestyle and a sinful relationship. She brought this to the elders, and she started telling other members of the church about this, and everyone started to give me and the 21-year-old girl a look, and they started gossiping about us, calling me bad because they think I'm condoning this behavior, despite the fact that I'm not. The members of the church believe that she is living a sinful life and not repenting by dating a man who's older than her. The members think that I should kick the girl and her family out of the church because she's living a sinful lifestyle, and her parents are not stopping it. This is the problem. They want me to try and stop this relationship because they feel like she's living a sinful lifestyle, and they want me to try to stop it because I'm the pastor and it's my job. They want me to kick them out if they are not living a life according to God's word. Here's the main problem. Dating someone who is old, even too old for some people, is not a sin. There is nowhere in the Bible that says a 21-year-old cannot date a 31-year-old, or heck, even a 90-year-old. Is it weird that may be inappropriate? Sure, but it's not a sin. The Bible says that having sex before marriage is a sin, and that only a marriage between a man and a woman is accepted by God. The Bible also says to obey your government and your government rules, i.e., follow the law. According to our law, this girl is an adult, so she can date any adult she chooses, even if he is too old for her. I might be able to do something if she is actively engaging in fornication, but I don't know if they're having sex or not. She won't tell her parents, and because of this, they can't tell me. I'm getting a little frustrated because there are just facts we can't overlook. Is this relationship weird because of the age gap? Yes, that is a fact. Is he way too old for her? Yes, this is a fact. Is this relationship a sin? No, there is nothing in the Bible that says you have to date someone your age. What should I do? I can't kick them out morally or ethically. The church and the members have a point, but legally and biblically, she isn't doing anything wrong. I have a lot to say about this one, y'all, but I'm going to read the comments first, and then I'm going to give you my perspective. The first comment was, you are the asshole, dude. What WTF do you think you're doing? You are so far out of your lane here, you're driving the other side of a divided highway. No, you don't go to the police, other adults' relationships, preacher or not, but out. The second comment is, bro, you do not type or sound at all like a real pastor. Also, you've posted 4 times within the last 30 minutes. Karma farming or what? The third comment was, this is by far fake. You don't know what a pastor does, do you? And the fourth comment was, show her the passage that says, judge not lest ye be judged, or whatever. Just because one person has their knickers in a twist, she's probably fantasizing about the sex she used to have at that age and regrets that her life is one dry slog day after day. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. For you to tell someone you're disappointed in their life choices, I cannot imagine the hubris. Not even a little. What kind of person intrudes on someone's private life because some snitch decided to, snitch? The fifth comment was, preach a sermon about gossiping, making false accusations, and loving your neighbor as yourself, etc. And of course the last comment was, probably a fake post, but on a small chance if it's real. Adults can date whoever they want. This is none of your business, and your first priority should have been to tell the woman who reported this to you that she should mind her own business, too. You're a pastor, not the sex police. Make this puritanical congregation is not the right one for you. And because a reference was made in one comment that the person had posted 4 times in like 15 minutes, I clicked on the original poster's account, only to discover it was suspended. Oof. So it could have been a fake story, but I thought it was worth sharing because there are many who are getting hurt by the churches like these, that are full of overly righteous and judgmental people, only destroying the bridge between the congregation and Christ himself. Now it's time for my commentary. I have one huge one, and it started at the beginning, when one busybody had to go and tell the pastor what she had seen. A gossip portrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much. That's in Proverbs 20:19. Personally, I think the pastor should have spoken to the one who wanted to stir the pot and left it there. Maybe he could have checked in with the 21-year-old to see how she was doing, to look for any red flags of abuse or manipulation, which often happens to young girls who fall for older men. But it's not like she was dating someone in their 60s. Age is just a number. Once you get out of the question of what age is. Heck, I got married at 21. I was married at this girl's age, but my husband was only 24 at the time, so there wasn't a huge age gap between us. And to assume that she was sexually active is a terrible judgment on anyone's part, especially that of a pastor. To ask her parents if she was having sex with this man goes beyond a red flag for me. He got the "you're the asshole" vote, and I can see why. To go to her parents and even the thought of throwing them out of the church, that is not a congregation I would want to be associated with. So tell me, what do you think? Were they the assholes they wondered about? I say the first one is a no, and the second one is definitely a yes. What are your thoughts on these two topics? Is the former worship leader responsible for the church canceling service, or should they have gone on anyway? And is the pastor in the wrong by gossiping and assuming and manipulating a young, impressionable believer? So many questions. If you like this new series, then by all means let me know. I'm currently working on episode 2, which will come out next Tuesday. Until then, have fun. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.